have to put aside and change our values. The very values that are driving the world today, we have to change them because they brought us to this crisis. And so now falls on our generation to make this change. And I think it's critical. I think we're at that point where this generation will be responsible for the future.
Mitakuye Oyaski.
Water we view as the lifeblood of Mother Earth. Water is one of our primary sustainers. And in a material way, we all know all the good that water brings to life. But it's also an incredibly important spiritual relationship that we have with waters, especially women. In my nation, women have the responsibilities for taking care of the water. All human people come from water, right? And so it's women who have the responsibility of safeguarding it, and what we call speaking for the water. It's our sacred responsibility to speak on behalf of the water. It's a very rich place, but it's under places like this that the fracking is proposed to occur. It's underneath these beautiful escarpments to go down through the limestone that we're sitting on here into the Marcellus shales, where the pockets of natural gas are said to be.
The biggest environmental battle in New York State history. Last week, government regulators opened the door to natural gas drilling inside the Marcellus Shale watershed, which supplies drinking water to some 15 million people, including 9 million New Yorkers.
All the plants are dead, and he's the one that brought it to my attention. I said, you know, the water didn't look great. It didn't look great, but I just never went over to check it out. Well, when he came over after he was done fishing, he said, man, everything's dead. I said, what? So
Cheney's company, Halliburton, did this. Even the Democrats voted for the Bush-Cheney energy policy, which was totally written by the energy companies to exempt them from the Freshwater Act, the Clean Water Act, the Superfund Act, and any kind of protections against pollution that are federally regulated.
Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania and New York contains 516 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, which is enough to satisfy the U.S. demand for more than 35 years, just in two states, Pennsylvania and New York, enough to satisfy our needs for the next 35 years.
Sacred water, sacred life, sacred beings, sacred universe. Then we understand that our thinking has been fractured in a way, just like the mining that's going on now. Everything is fractured, they're dividing everybody up. I know some of you know there's something definitely wrong. You don't know what to do about it yet, but you feel something's wrong. That's that intuitive value that was buried there since you were a child. You can come out with that now, it's okay. It's okay to come out with that. Dare to take a chance. Dare to say, teacher, I don't feel that's right.
It is this clean water which will be taken to move into the shales. But those shales and these limestones are all permeable. So whatever goes into the top of the aquifer goes down into the groundwater. So the potential for contamination of groundwater due to these hydrofracking chemicals is huge.
And in real time and real spiritual consciousness and thinking, you can be better or you cannot be worse. Just like the water, just like the rock, just like all these trees, you can't be better or worse. We say they have consciousness, and we know they have consciousness. We sing to them. Science, believe it or not, has proven that they pay attention to us. Even the stone, if they can get that far, they can know that those stones, which are the oldest living beings on earth, understand. They understand what's going on here now, and they're going to appreciate that someday. So they're going to give these messages to all the people, all their people, the Rock Nation, all over the earth.
If I could, I would ban hydrofracking in Colorado. If I could, I would ban hydrofracking in Texas or Louisiana. If I could, I'd ban it in Pennsylvania. But I can't because it's already started. In New York, it has not started. We have an opportunity to not let it happen.
It seems to me that it's really becoming this issue of corporate money versus water. But let's face it, you can't drink money.
If everything were to turn around about the EPA and forget about it and include native science in this thing, I think we won't need an EPA. It will be named something else. And it will be all of us together, not just a few guys in ties sitting in Congress delegating what is Earth and what is not Earth.
President Obama's energy czar agrees with me. In 1995, as EPA administrator, that was during the Clinton administration, Carol Browner wrote in response to litigation that federal regulation is not necessary for hydraulic fracturing, and EPA is not legally required to regulate hydraulic fracturing. The most importantly, she further wrote that there was, quote, no evidence that the hydraulic fracturing at issue has resulted in any contamination or endangerment of underground sources of drinking water. Now this is Carol Browner. That's the current energy czar serving in the White House.
Among all of the instructions that he gave the leaders at the time, this spiritual leader we call the great peacemaker, he instructed our people. He said, when you sit and you counsel for the welfare of the people, think not of yourself, nor of your family, nor even your generation. He said, make your decisions on behalf of the seventh generation coming. Those faces looking up from the earth, each generation waiting its time. You have to defend them, protect them, so that they may enjoy what you enjoy today. That's where those words come from, and it's a discussion about responsible leadership, about responsibility, long-term thinking. Think not of yourself, nor of your family, nor even your generation. Wouldn't that be wonderful today if the leaders of the world would do it, would be thinking in that direction?
So what you're talking about is a system that is going to pollute the veins of Mother Earth. Ban it. Ban hydrofracking. Stop it. Stop it in its tracks.
Make it so that hydrofracking would be banned on private property. That has to come through your state legislature.
This is going to be a tough fight. No getting around it. We've got powerful forces at work here, but they're saying that if any state can do it, it's New York State. All eyes are on New York.
There really is a different thinking process going on, and I think those people, I feel those people are here now in all cultures and societies. If you have a culture, I think it's there first because that's a tree roots. That's what this system is trying to get rid of all over the world, is people with culture, people with knowing who they are rather than becoming what they want you to be. So when we view water, let's stop thinking of her as just water, as just blue, as just wet. Remove those terms and say mni waka in my language. It only means sacred life.
As individuals facing threats to the water, we can feel really powerless against the lobbyists, against the industry, and yet I think we have to think about ourselves as drops of water, because each of us, as that little water drop, might not feel like we can have an impact, but water moves and water collects. And if we think of ourselves of all these little drops of water coming into the streams to tributaries and eventually creating this powerful river of opposition and a river of protection for the waters. And that, I think, is our moral and spiritual responsibility.